I just wanted to piggyback on what Kaveh was saying in terms of the laws lagging behind the norms. And as you said, the responsibility of a government is really to represent the people. But the people of Iran are not these vashy, wild people that gain great joy by seeing people hung into the squares. Yes, there might be a percentage that are fanatic or, they've been brainwashed in a way to believe that that's the right way, or they've understood the law as qisas being an eye for an eye, and they think, great, justice is being done before them. But the majority of people that I have come in contact with, whether through emails or phone calls or just following the news and what's happening in Iran, I would very much say that the Iranian people are very freedom-loving. They want freedom, human rights, the rule of law. They want a constitution based on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. They don't want to see a woman being stoned in front of their eyes. They don't want to see a child being executed. And this is very much needed to be discussed, because even here in Canada or in different parts of the West, if you ask the average person on the street, what do you think of an Iranian person? Automatically, some of them think that we're bad terrorist people, or that we're, these chador-clad women who are very subservient to their husbands, and they don't have a taste of the true Shirazan Iran, or the way Iranians truly are. And I think it's an important debate to have, and for those in Iran to know that we're their proponents on the outside. And it's embarrassing, the current regime that's in power. They embarrass us all. And in a way, if we want advancements on the international stage, whether it's the economy or on various levels, we need to look within ourselves and to change the perception as well. I think there's two extremes in Iran when it comes to women's education. On the one hand, you see, as we've been discussing, a higher percentage of women entering universities. I believe the number that they put out there is 65% of those that enter universities are actually women. But that said, there's more and more quotas been placed in the last few years of women going into these programs, whether it be engineering or some quote-unquote higher level courses, because I think this regime, those at the top levels, again, are fearing the power of women and try to suppress them in a certain way, even though the women are the ones that are winning the concours, the ones that are getting into these programs. On the other hand, there's the other extreme of those that live in poor, rural, more religious communities. Some of the families that I've spoken to that live in Kurdistan and certain other parts of Iran in more rural areas, in certain families, the fathers restrict their daughters from even going to school. And, there's a lot of abuse at the lower levels. So I think there's a lot that needs to be done to improve these numbers, but generally speaking, the women are very much advanced, and it's just a matter of the laws allowing them to practice their role in society. Answer to the question whether Islam is compatible with human rights in Iran, definitely the interpretation that they have in Iran, I would say no. The way that Iran's penal code is based on Sharia law, they say that life of a woman is worth half of a man. I think just that one statement alone denies the fact that there is any kind of compatibility, at least in Iran, and that the testimony of a woman is worth half of a man, or that you would need 4 male witnesses to justify that a rape just took place, or that sex outside of marriage leads to lashes or worse. Could be stoning if it's for adultery. So I say no, there is no compatibility there. a couple of concluding remarks for Mrs. Burumand. You were asking about justice. There is no justice system in Iran when qazi, a judge, can rule on something called el-Qazi, the divine knowledge of the judge, where they don't have to even open a case and they can rule on something. That's not a justice system. Ahmad Batibi, your question about ethnic minorities, I think they're so fed up under this current regime where they can't even breathe, they're suffocating, that they're looking for different systems. But I think under a democratic system where their rights are being recognized, then they would be happy to be part of a greater, strong Iran. And lastly, I believe with a theocratic system in place as is now, where religion and politics are mixed, there's not much we can do in terms of reform. And I believe the only long-term solution for women's rights and the other rights that we were talking about, the advancement, would be through the democratization of Iran, where men and women can freely elect those that represent their voices. And only then will we see true change in our country.